And I just saw Sam, but I think did we lose him?
Nope, he's on.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Miss Brody, I am starting the live stream right now, and I will let you know when the link is in community.
Liliana, you look a lot like Leslie from that angle. I actually thought it was her.
That is
Okay.
funny. That is funny. Okay, it is in. It's in community. The link is there. So, Chairperson Brody, whenever you would like to start the meeting.
Okay. Hello, everyone. On this bright sunny day, which we haven't had as of most recent. I'm going to call to order the July 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting. And I'm going to toss it right over to Dr. Stephanie Lockhart, who's going to get us started on our first agenda item.
Thank you, Chairperson Brody. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to be on my first Committee of the Whole meeting. I'm really excited about that, to be here with you all. Unfortunately, I am not the one presenting today. I'm going to turn it over to my amazing team to talk to you about the CT Rise contract. We're going to start with Mr. Purdy.
Actually, I will do a quick introduction. Thank you, Dr. Lockhart, Liliana Cuevas. Good afternoon, all. And we're just going to share. I'm going to start sharing. Can you see? Can you all see?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. All right, 1 second. Okay, how's that?
Now we
Perfect.
can't.
All right, thank you so much. So this evening we will start with a quick overview of our CT Rice contract and also the impact we saw over the 25-26 school year. And we will also be discussing the programming for the fall. So Director Purdy, I will pass it over to you to start with the presentation.
Great, more than happy to. And Liliana, I think you'll be the clicker for me. Is that okay?
Yeah, I will, sure. Yes.
Great. So good evening, everyone. It's nice to see those of you who are, returning board members from last times we've been able to join you, new board members, district staff who are new and returning, and so on and so forth. Dr. Lockhart, we just had the chance to meet yesterday, which is wonderful, and welcome to the team. We're excited to get to work with you. My name is Sam Purdy. I'm the Director of Network Growth and Partnerships at the RISE Network. I've been at RISE since 2017 and have worked in various capacities with the RISE partnership with Hartford since the very beginning of my time with the organization. And so it's great to get to talk a little bit, and I will emphasize a little bit. I will be as brief as possible to create space for questions. I believe these slides are available to you, so if I don't talk through every word, you're welcome to ask questions about things that I don't speak to, or obviously that Liliana does not. But RISE's mission, for those of you who have not previously encountered our work, is focused, as the slide names, to ensure that all students across Hartford, across all the districts that we partner with, graduate on time from high school with a plan, skills, and the confidence to achieve success beyond high school. Our work has really focused in two strands to achieve that mission. One is the 9th grade success, and so focus on the freshman academies, especially the comprehensive high schools and also Kinsella, and increasing post-secondary access at the comprehensive high schools. I do want to note importantly that while the contract for this coming school year is a $190,000 contract between the district and RISE, RISE has secured outside funding to cover more than that amount to actually augment the amount of services we're able to deliver through the scope of work. And that requires no reporting or any obligations on the part of the district there. So we are, really proud of the feedback that we've received from educators through the partnership. I do see at least one of the administrators we work with closely in the call today, and I believe others may be joining today or in the board meeting eventually where this will be voted on. But we, just have a few survey items here from Hartford Public Schools educators that we work with to share feedback that indicates really high levels of satisfaction with the coaching that they receive, the ways that the data hub that they have access to through this partnership helps them in their work with students, focused on those goals of on track, of post-secondary access and success. And so these are really, encouraging elements. I think we always are looking for feedback along the way, and so summative feedback like this is great, but we're getting feedback on every gathering, on every meeting, on every chance we can get. So we'll talk just about these two strands of the work, as I mentioned. And actually, I'll pause here, Liliana. Was there a moment where anyone is speaking up here, or should I just continue? I don't mean to put Mr. Hall, who I see in the meeting, on the spot, but I didn't know if
I
educators
think
were.
if there are places that you want the input, we could. There are some celebratory pieces, and so I don't know, Mr. Hall, would you like to speak to some of the work happening at Weaver?
Sure. Good
Thank
evening.
you.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'll just echo the sentiments I shared last year in terms of the resources that RISE is able to provide. Some of the work they do around teaming us with other schools and having that shared understanding of how we move students forward. The hub has been, from our vantage point, indispensable in terms of the work that we do each and every day with our freshman academy. And so I don't know if there were any specific questions that anyone wanted to ask, but it's been truly something that has been worthwhile for us to engage with. And when we have new members added to our team, the resources that they're able to provide, the coaching that they're able to provide has been truly beneficial to what the work we're doing at Weaver High School.
I appreciate you speaking up there, and I imagine that, if board members have questions for you two to unpack things further, we might get to that after the slides, but thank you, as always, Mr. Hall. We wanted to start with the post-secondary side of the data. We obviously, as I mentioned, are working towards post-secondary access and success. And I think it's really exciting that we're at the same meeting as Ready CT, who I will not speak for, but who we've grown in our partnership with this year, so that we can be as aligned as possible with all partners, or certainly as many partners as possible who are working towards similar goals, working together. And so we are excited about the data on this slide that show really strong and intentional efforts to survey students across the comprehensive high schools, increases in survey completion, tying to increases in seniors graduating with a plan that they've identified. And the survey work that we do helps to spotlight where students are intending to go, what they're hoping to do after high school, which then the teams at the high schools are using to prioritize individual supports, group level supports, and frankly, ways to work further upstream to even mold or shift some of the post-secondary plans that students make in the direction of a strong match that might align with students' interests they express, the GPAs they're earning, the skills that they're demonstrating over the course of their high school experience. Liliana, again, in the spirit of giving a high-level overview, I'll keep going to the next slide. Happy to dig in deeper to anything, but it's not just a plan. Application completion aligned with that plan. So the upper right-hand corner shows us that at a high level, we are proud to have supported the high schools in reaching 25 percentage points of growth in application completion for higher ed over the last few years of partnership. But specifically this year, the graphs show the subgroups that the teams prioritized, making a special level of improvements with. So specifically, SPED students, application completion grew by almost 20 percentage points from last year to this year. First gen students, a bit of a tick up, and somewhere in the middle there, MLL students aiming for some form of higher education, a 2-year, 4-year, or a trade program, application completion numbers that are really positive. Again, these were identified goals by the teams in cross-school working group sessions that RISE facilitates, and that the Data Hub helped the teams to monitor progress with, based on the applications that students were completing from these subgroups. Finally, we know it's not enough to have a plan or to complete an application. Financial aid is a huge barrier, as we know. 2 out of the 3 comprehensive high schools saw just overall improvement in financial aid completion. So that's the next slide. At the school that did not, that saw a decline, which was Hartford Public, there was a deep dive into some of the root causes, where it was determined and discovered that FAFSA ineligibility was a key barrier for Hartford Public. And so RISE worked with them to launch a data tracking pilot to really strengthen supports for those students who were not FAFSA eligible, but who were pursuing higher ed. And so as a result of this pilot, about 20 seniors completed the ACTIS form, making their final rate of financial aid application completion for those students who are higher ed bound over 80%. So it's where that blue to green drop doesn't tell the full story because of the nuances of the population that RISE worked with the school to really adequately serve. I think that the same thread carries through as we go over to grade 9 of thinking about the population and the very, very particular needs of each individual cohort. We see on the next slide that the 9th grade cohort entering Hartford Public High School, Buckley, Weaver, and Kinsella from last year to this year was dramatically different year over year. We saw about a doubling of the percentage of incoming 9th grade students who were, based on their 8th grade GPA and 8th grade attendance, at a high risk for struggling through the transition, from about 20% of the class of 2028 entering 2 years ago to 40% at that high risk for a great degree of difficulty entering in fall 2025. This significant change in student need profile created a need to approach things differently in the high schools. And so I think the next slide, kind of goes through several of the things that RISE supported schools to do as a result. I want to draw your attention to 2 of these in particular, bullets 3 and 4 here. Among the things that we did in response to this with the schools were one, that third bullet that I'll speak to is in response to expression of desire on the part of leaders for this type of collaboration. We brought in middle school counselors, assistant principals, and teacher leaders into the high school collaborative space to promote real alignment between middle and high schools within the feeder patterns. This was a really productive set of conversations that we saw, helping to lengthen the runway, is the way we think of it, for that transition, so that students have a bit more support. Speaking of student support, the next bullet, we secured funding for on-track mentors to serve at both Buckley and Weaver high schools to provide targeted support for students, again, with the greatest needs. Hartford Public has had an on-track coach serving in the high school for the last 9 years now. This was the first year that Buckley and Weaver benefited from similar types of staff, and in this year's scope of work, we propose continuing that service. So, look, the year-over-year data right now on the next slide do not yet tell a favorable story. We saw the change in terms of the need profile of the incoming ninth graders. And so here's the story that we're telling on this slide. We have seen a lot of growth at every comprehensive high school, and dramatic in-year growth at Buckley, from where students came in, that Q1 on track with rates way below where we want them to be, to an end-of-year point that's still not where we want them to be, but far improved from where things started out. And we are importantly looking at the right-hand table and saying, you know what? Summer school is still part of the challenge. It's still part of the push. And so the numbers at right show where we could get, where we believe that the teams will end with their year-end on-track rates based on summer school participation.
Thank you for that. And I know we have a few more slides, but I do know that we did send the slides ahead. So we're going to go to the end, just so I want to make sure we have enough time to open it up to questions. I just want to honor that piece. But thank you for that piece. And so we'll pause here to see if there are questions that were raised connected to this presentation.
My hand isn't going up, but I have a question. Sorry.
So I'll go, Mr. Walker, Mr. Tatum, and then Ms. Chafin.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. One question, I think, was that Sean, you're the presenter? I think, Mr. Purdy. You don't have to go back to it, but you had the slide where you broke out the plans. You had work, 2-year, 4-year, and then trade and certification. So what I'd be interested in seeing that's moving forward is that work slide. Can we break that out? Because I'm wondering, I'm thinking students choose all that apply. So I'm thinking that some students are choosing work even though they may be going to a 2-year school. Is that possible? Is that true in the way you do your analysis?
Yes, I'll just quickly say that we can definitely provide even more of the data that school folks see from this survey, which definitely, you're right, indicates sometimes students say they want to go to the workforce, but through the survey, they're indicating a pathway that requires some form of certification, right? Or some form of further education. And so that's the type of, I would almost call it a mismatch in the data or a signal that a further conversation needs to happen to refine what the true post-secondary plan is and what the actual step needs to be for the student to meet what it is they want to do.
And I'll just jump on that question from the district standpoint. What we do in getting the survey, because we work very closely together, is that we don't lock a student into a pathway, especially because we know that they're young, they change it. They might be on a work pathway, but they might change their plan. And so just because they save it, they're not locked in. Some of the work that we did this past year was to make sure that our counselors were having those one-on-one individual sessions that happened throughout the year. And so as you lifted up, board member, students did change their plans. And I think that's why we were trying to make sure that they had an opportunity. So if they chose the workforce and they went to the career fair, some of them got an interest sparked that, hey, if I want to go into this field, I can. But if I go to a community college, I have access to more opportunities. And that's the work that I see Director Janelle Clark is on, Executive Director Janelle Clark is on, and she also did some of that work to support it. So I just want to kind of lift up so that collaboration that we did, both with our partners and then in addition at the school level and district level.
And yeah, and thank you. Yeah.
I know we're all getting used to new names and titles. I get it. Yep, that's okay.
Well, what I was going to say is it's important that we spike out the work plus, and that's what I really was getting at. I'm not discouraging folks from working. I just know that when I've dealt with youth and coming out of DCF, the only thing they discourage is just work alone. if you're working, because I know some people going to community college and they have to work because that's part of the journey, and same thing with certification. So it'd be great to be able to do a work plus this, work plus this, work plus this, and so we can understand who's just picking the work alone. Because Director Coburn, you're right. If they're just doing work alone, those are people that I want to counsel. But I didn't think a whole third of our kids were in that camp, and the data didn't quite show that. So I just wanted to just bring that out. I'll yield secondary question to let others kind of get in.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Tatum.
Thank you. My question is about the change in data from last year to this year's ninth graders and what looks like a significant increase in the highest needs students or the students who are most at risk. I noticed that in last year's data, almost half of the students were coded as data unavailable from eighth grade. And my question is maybe for the people who are working in the schools, or to the extent that CT Rise like has a pulse on this as well. Was there a real change in student need from last year's class to this year's class of freshmen? Or is it just that when we got more data from the eighth grade, we have a more accurate picture now of the needs of ninth graders than we did in the previous year? Like, did it feel like a shift, or have the numbers caught up, and are we getting better data through better collaboration with the middle schools?
I will answer from the district lens, and I'm happy that we have AP Hall on because I know Weaver did a lot of work really thinking about the current ninth grade class. I think what we saw when we think about the profile of the student in particular, our rising 10th graders who were ninth graders, that they came in with a different set of needs that we immediately began to respond to. And so that was some of the data that we previously didn't have. We actually met yesterday with CT Rise to talk about the student profile of the ninth graders to prepare for the 10th grade year. And so we have made adjustments and pivots, and we're using what we learned with the current cohort to think about getting ready for eighth grade. So getting ready for the current eighth graders who will be ninth graders, to think about what are some earlier indicators that we can access so that we are prepared and not surprised by the profile that we receive once we dig down and get that initial baseline survey once they're in ninth grade.
Yeah, and I just add from a school context, excuse me, that absolutely we saw a significant difference between the cohort 2028 compared to cohort 2029. A lot of those students that we saw this year struggled in a variety of different areas. And so, yeah, we had to pivot, make adjustments. But yeah, there was a significant difference between those two cohorts.
If I can just add one more thing, because I really want to affirm that question. It was actually one of the first questions that when I saw this data, I asked as well, because I said, wait, you know what? Sometimes we have high risk students sort of lurking in that missing data piece. You know, in this case, the students who last year were missing academic data, or that's one of the internal terms we use for it, the data not available, had way higher, like on track rates that were more comparable to the students that were colored like, you know, sort of more yellow or maybe a light green. This year, so in other words, it wasn't like there were tons of high risk students already in that pool. So it's just the data does affirm, you know, what obviously on the ground AP Hall and his colleagues and Dr. Coburn at the district level are seeing. But it's something we looked at as well. Like, it's great that we're actually getting more data and getting an earlier window into it. But there really is, you know, something fundamentally different there.
That's good to hear that context. I think I ask because it's easy to you know, read a lot of data and like tell a narrative of like, wow, our ninth graders are struggling more in a way that requires a significantly more investment in interventions and resources, in a way that like is real and good and should be done to provide the best educational experiences. And I think there's also a way that we could generate data to justify uh, any kind of increased resources and intervention at any point in the system. And just wanted to make sure that what we were looking at was really a change from what we'd previously seen in terms of student need, and not just getting better data to describe a reality that has been consistent over time. So I appreciate it's a troubling trend, obviously, but I appreciate keeping the ways that this is allowing us to keep a finger on that pulse and target resources where they're needed.
Thank you. Ms. Chayka?
Thank you. Thanks you guys for your presentation, all the work that you do with our district. It's much appreciated. I was wondering if there's any verification of the plans or the intentions that students set. I understand getting them to think about, their future can be a hurdle in and of itself when you're, having a grand old time in high school. But is there any kind of, okay, we know for a fact this student applied to colleges or got in or is, put a deposit down or set their intentions, or the student has applied to jobs or has a job lined up? Because I just fear that, and I don't know if there is data you have on this, but within that, roughly 50% workforce bunch is that students who say, oh, I don't know, I'll get a job. And then we don't know what the real intention is, or, what's that, like the process of making those connections or those touch points with the students and affirming that it's not just, bubble on a survey, but that there's real action behind it.
So I can answer it at the district level. So the post-secondary survey is also required by the state for us to get that information, and it feeds into a national database that's called National Clearinghouse. And so we get it every year, so we can track 5-year cohort information on our students. And so when we see that they've selected workforce or going into the college, if they are persistent. And so that data is really about persistence into post-secondary plans. And so we do review that every year, and we use it to gauge our need to align our plans. And then again, those meetings that the meetings that our counselors had with our seniors, they do it pretty regularly, but we did one at the end of the year, again, to your point, to make sure that plans hadn't changed, and if they did, that we were able to support them. And so some of the work that had just recently went out for students who selected the workforce and they were having some difficulty. We have some partners who have linked up. And so we've been continuously sending out that information to make sure that we don't have that gap. But we do review the data at the district level. And they actually track it for up to 5 years. So we can see how well we are doing with supporting our students with post-secondary plans.
Thank you.
And I would just add, and I'm not sure if they do it at the other high schools, but at Weaver, we get contact information for students, our graduating seniors, to check back with them in the fall to see where they landed, whether college, 4-year, 2-year workforce, or what have you. So that's one of the things that we do at Weaver.
Thank you. Before we move on, Mr. Walker, did you want to get your second question in?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair Brody. I was going to save it to the end, but I will lift up now 2 things. One, this is more for AP Hall and the district leadership. We've talked about Success Academies and Hope Academies, and I'm realizing this point as a board member, I'm just kind of requesting that maybe we do some tutorial or workshop around those particular centers, so that I would get a better idea of how they're functioning, the data they're using, the populations they're serving, and how that's working. I know generally about it, but I'm realizing now that if I had a little better sense of how the success in Hope Academies and those internal centers worked, I may have a crisper sense of how data and other services are like critical to how they function. So I'm just lifting that up as more of a request for a future workshop. And the second thing, I'm kind of giving thumbs up to AP Hall too for speaking to a mechanism, because in my head I was thinking, I feel like we need more of an actual mechanism to follow up with our students. And school-based made sense because that's where they're probably most likely to tie in. So I'm glad that Weaver actually has some mechanism that's really in place in doing that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, I just want to thank CT Rise for their work this past year. I did have an opportunity to sit down with the team and look at data, and just excited about taking it to the next level in year 2 while I'm here. So I want to raise that up.
Thank you. So we are moving along.
Excuse me, our next contract is our CT Ready, and I will be sharing, so I will start with that. All right, so again, good afternoon. Our objective today with our CT Ready contract, a quick overview and impact across our career pathways programming. We will also again have an overview of Great Path Academy and the work happening there. And then we will end with our contract overview for Ready CT and Great Path. So I am going to pass it over to Executive Director, Ms. Shannon Merriman. Oh, I think I went over one. Here we go.
Thank you,
Executive Director
Liliana.
Hannah? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right,
Welcome.
thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and nice to see a lot of familiar faces as well as some new ones. As Liliana said, I'm Shannon Marimon, Executive Director with Ready CT. And this slide just gives a quick overview and refresher on who we are as an organization. Our vision, kind of very complementary to CT Rise that you just heard from, is that we're really focused on the career connected learning side of the preparation for our young learners. And we have a vision that all Connecticut students are prepared with essential know-how, experience, and confidence to pursue fulfilling careers and fuel a thriving Connecticut economy. We design and deliver these career-connected learning experiences in partnership with our school partners, business partners, and communities. And we emphasize our programming in places across the state of Connecticut where the need is greatest, both from the student side, the educator side, as well as the employer side. Our work is very focused on career pathway programming, which is what we're going to focus on today in our presentation. So next slide. So we have a long history of working with Hartford Public Schools. In fact, it's our longest running partnership. It goes back to 2008, where we had our first career pathway at Hartford Public High School focused on engineering and green technology. And it's been a pathway that has been enduring ever since. And with that continuity, it's been actually a program that has been able to stay the course with a lot of focus and supports for students, even when there's been transitions and other changes within the school and within the district. And so those students see a lot of great outcomes in terms of attendance, grades, graduation rates, and just their general, like I said in the prior slide, building of their skills and their confidence to be successful in whatever they pursue next. Over the years, we've expanded that portfolio to be supporting pathways across all 3 comprehensive high schools. So we are working in Buckley, Hartford Public High School, and Weaver High School with 2 pathways in each school, all all of which were decided upon and designed in partnership with the school district when the district went through a district-wide redesign task force process about 5 years ago, actually 6 years ago now, before COVID. And so we really replicated the model of what was happening at Hartford Public High School to ensure that that was happening with parity across all 3 comprehensive high schools. So there's now these 6 really amazing career-themed pathways. Then we've also had a longstanding partnership with Pathways Academy of Technology and Design, and then more recently, Great Path Academy. And so we're gonna be talking about the contract specific to what will support. Sorry, if you can just, I put an asterisk next to what, if you go back, Liliana, sorry. The asterisk for the funding for this particular project will focus on the Emerging Technologies pathway at Buckley High School and the Media Technology pathway at Weaver High School, and the Great Path Academy work, which I know Principal Fitzgerald is going to speak to a bit more specifically. So next slide. So this slide is an alignment of how our programming ties to the strategic plan for the school district. And we've been very mindful of how we are integrating our programming into everything else that the school district is looking to emphasize. So strengthening that pre-K to college and career continuum in partnership with a ton of partners. There's too many to name, but we work with Hartford Promise, we work with Center for Latino Progress, we work with CT Rise, as Sam mentioned, and very much trying to create as much coherence and alignment so that we can work really well with students and all of our partners in the schools across the board. And then the second, providing all students with access to real world learning experiences and enrichment, which is the heart and soul of what we do. We have students doing hands-on learning in the community with industry partners wherever possible, including currently right now this summer, the biggest internship cohort of Hartford students we've ever had. And then engaging in legislative advocacy to address financial and operational challenges. We do a lot, like Sam was mentioning, to leverage additional resources to make sure that we're able to offer this program across all the pathways that we're supporting. And we're looking for policy changes at the systems level to enable this programming and remove any barriers to this programming, including participation on the statewide Connecticut Career Pathways Commission, which was just established by Governor Lamont. I sit on that commission, as does Emily Palin from CT Rise. So we're able to kind of bring attention to the needs of pathways like this at the state level and look for the funding that will allow these to sustain into the future. Next slide. I am going to turn the next 2 slides to my colleague, Tammy Schweiker, who's Director of Career Pathways with Hartford Public Schools, and she's going to speak quickly about our impact this past year.
Quickly. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. I just wanted to just touch a little bit on the impact work that we're having with the schools. Based on the pathways and the structure of Ready CT, the students are able to participate in career-connected learning across the 4 years that they're engaged in the high school. They are able to move between pathways. They are able to select a general pathway if they are at a school. We know the schools are selected by zip code generally, so the students are allowed to pick a general pathway if they're not really sure where they want to be and just try everything out. So we don't turn any students away who are interested in the programming, and we focus on work-based learning. For us, it's a structured continuum from awareness to preparation. What that means in a school is that maybe 9th and 10th graders are having guest speakers in their classrooms. They're going on work site visits, tours. They may be participating in career fairs, meeting with employers in a very general way. And as they get older or more engaged with us, they participate in our Career Connections curriculum, which include communications lessons, career readiness planning, resume development, mock interviews with employer partners, up to and including job shadowing and paid internships. We have 3 signature programs in our schools. One is Yes Academy, which is youth employability skills. Yes Academies are held annually during the student spring break. So students select voluntarily to come to Yes Academy during their April vacation, and they participate in 4 days of career-connected programming, resume development. It could be an industry recognized credential day. They could be getting CPR certified, Stop the Bleed certified. Additionally, that week ends with a mock interview event. This year we had over 46 different employers present at Hartford Public High School, and we interviewed, I think, 96 students that day. And Janelle, thanks for coming. That was great to have you there. Our summer programming is our GRIT and our FRIA programming. GRIT is Get Ready Immersive Traineeship, and FRIA is our First Responders Youth Academy. Those programs right now are hosting, I want to say in the greater Hartford area, 160 students, but Hartford students, probably about 100 Hartford students are participating in these programs alone this summer. And these are intensive programs where students are exploring opportunities directly connected with employers. GRIT students are meeting with employers weekly and developing a solution to a project and being mentored by the employer through the process. Our First Responders Youth Academy is partnered with Hartford Fire Department and Hartford Police Department. Those students are working on projects, public safety projects. They're also doing very intensive hands-on training on site at the Fire Academy and the Police Academy every single week. And they will tomorrow, and they have a competition next week against the other FRIAs from Hartford. And they are also creating projects that they are going to present at the end of their summer season to those teams at Hartford Fire and Police. And then we also have our Student 5.0 program. This program is sort of a career bridge program when we're really looking at seniors who aren't really sure what they want to do, don't maybe have a solid plan, are not necessarily going the four-year track right away. And so we connect with those students. We had a cohort of 45 students this past school year, and we help them develop their plan. We do career readiness programming with those students. They also have a series of 12 workshops. There's some funding connected to that programming that is helps students get their driver's permit, may help students get professional attire for interviews. Those students also participate in mock interviews and then have paid internships, which with the goal of full-time paid work. That is the absolute goal. A lot of those students also do some part-time school and part-time work, but that is our Student 5.0 program. And you can see the numbers you can read them, but this is, I think, a great year for programming for us when we're talking about 75 students completed paid internships during the school year. Some of those internships, just to highlight the work as it layers in or builds on the year before. At Buckley, for example, we have an education pathway as part of the public service pathway, and we have been talking about ways to connect the young people at Buckley High School who are interested in education as a career path. How do we connect them to the young people that are going to school in Hartford Public Schools? Last year, we did an hour of code programming with the emerging tech pathway and the education students. This year, we did that again. And then the teachers that we partnered with for the last 2 years were interested in additional support for the tech work that they're doing in their school. So we had 6 students who were interning at Naylor, Betances, and Fox for the entire spring semester. And next year, they all have already asked if we can start earlier in the school year, if we can get them by January, if we can have more. So I think when you see success, when you start to build a cycle of success, then you build more students are interested in it next year. Students are already talking about what internships are going to be available next year. So I just wanted to share that as a very exciting year at Buckley to build new things that we've been talking about for a couple of years. So these are some pictures. I think that it is hard to really coalesce all the work that we're doing in a few short minutes of slides, but these are some of the students who've been participating in our programming. And one of the students did his internship at Makerspace. Very shy young man, very sweet young man, just kind of quietly does his work. And we put him in the internship. They were very clear with us that they really work with another school. They probably wouldn't take many interns from us. And then they came back to us when he was about done with the first set of hours and said, we would like to keep him for the entire summer. He is amazing. And he really is a great kid. So he's there this summer doing some summer program internship there. And you can see the FRIA interns. These are some of the students who are at Betances this summer and our mock interview event. So many successes and so much work to do. So thank you. Thank you for the time.
And I think we're transitioning it to Principal Fitzgerald, and she's going to speak specifically about our work from the Great Path Academy perspective.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Jessica Fitzgerald, proud principal at Great Path Academy at CT State Manchester. Thank you so much for the support that you've already provided to Great Path with approving contracts in the past for us to work with Ready CT. We have been able to work with Ready CT since 2022 to help fulfill Great Path's mission, which you can read here. For those of you who aren't familiar with Great Path, we're situated on the campus of CT State Manchester. We have a unique partnership as a middle college high school where our students can enroll in live college classes with professors at CT State Manchester, and now also take college classes with our own articulated high school staff. So we have a new program for next year where we can offer both dual enrollment at the college and then concurrent enrollment with our high school teachers to help our students earn as many credits for college as possible. I'm hoping upwards to close to that associate's degree. We're pretty close to that now. So Ready CT has really been able to provide for us almost a trifecta of education, where we have our secondary education in high school, we have our dual enrollment work with CT State Manchester for higher education, and then Ready CT has helped us round that out by providing work-based learning and college and career access for our students. And since 2022, we've really had some great success. I'm happy to speak about some of that with you. Our chronic absenteeism at Great Path has plummeted from 42% in 2022 to 30% this current school year. 95% of our families report that students are always actively learning about college and career success opportunities at our school. Our freshman graduation track rate has jumped from 67% in 2022 to 80% this past school year, this 2022-2024, and that's our on-track freshman graduation rate. Our advanced course access has increased to 89.4% in 2024-2025, and we continue to keep our upperclassmen engaged in college and career readiness courses at 93%. And really notably, we've achieved a post-secondary entrance rate of 84.8% within the first year after high school graduation, which was up from a previous baseline in 2022 of 53.7%. And all of these data points really have increased since Ready CT has joined us in partnership doing this work. If you want to click to the next slide, Liliana, thank you so much. With this partnership, Ready CT provides us with a dedicated career pathway program manager that helps implement all of our lessons and provides ongoing monitoring and support, and includes many different opportunities for our students to engage in work-based learning. This particular school year, 70% of our students have participated in at least one work-based learning event. 71 students completed resumes, with 70 students participating in mock interviews, and we currently have 31 students engaged in paid internship opportunities, 4 from the spring and 30 that are currently happening right now this summer. And at another level, Ready CT has also partnered with us with another organization called the Middle College National Consortium, and they've attended with us conferences that we go to, once or twice a year to engage with the MCNC Middle College Network of other 50 high schools in the country that are doing the same work as Great Path to provide equitable access to college and to prepare students for higher ed. Ready CT has facilitated workshops with us, provided professional development to that network. Just last week, we went to the conference in Washington, D.C., and Janelle Taylor from Ready CT presented a really great session about how to integrate work-based learning into middle college high schools. She had a packed room and really made a difference with engaging with so many educators across the country. And about 2 weeks ago, when we ended school, Tammy, who's on this call, and Janelle presented professional development to my teachers on our very last day on June 24th, our Teacher Professional Development Day. And so that's something that we look forward to hopefully continue, is more professional development for our staff. It really helped us end our year on a very positive note and gave the staff at Great Path a lot of things to look forward to for next school year on how to continue to increase education and instruction at Great Path Academy.
Liliana, did you want to summarize or did you want me to?
Sure, no, I can summarize. So here is, thank you, this slide As you reviewed, it's part of the contract. So the objectives, right, they will continue to work with the 3 comprehensive plus pathways and grade path. Of course, with the deliverables, the data that will be collected around student participation, percentage of students on track for graduation, percentage of students engaged in internship experience or job shadows. We will continue with the percent of students engaged in dual enrollment courses. And overall, other data points for effectiveness include student enrollment in different phases of career pathways and student survey and perception of career readiness. The contract amount, $354,000 will be to support our 3 comprehensive and pathways, and the 196 and 600 will be for pathways, grade path, grade path, with the breakdown of the budget for 125 plus the SHEP interdistrict magnet grant that they should hear back pending approval by September 1st. And then, of course, that would carry us through the year, through June 30th of next year of 2027. So that concludes the presentation, and we will open it up for any questions for the team. Thank you for your attention this afternoon.
Any question, board members? Mr. Superintendent?
No question. Just want to comment. I had the opportunity to go to a number of Ready CT opportunities for our young people across different campuses, including also including Hartford Hospital. And it is definitely an added value to the education that our young people are receiving in Hartford Public Schools. So I did want to uplift that and just share that I've seen it with my eyes, looking at data, looking at young people, and speaking with the executive director. I do believe it will continue to add value.
Thank you for that. Board Member Walker?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I wanted to also signal excitement after visiting Buckley High School and seeing the program there was exciting, and certainly would like it to grow, as we all would, if money were no object. I would add this additional kind of challenge, kind of as a question, because it's not totally in your wheelhouse. Keep doing what you're doing in terms of career development and workplace learning. But I've have a mentee who was deep into, he graduated from University High School, was deep into college before he really got into the awareness of allied health. And so I was left understanding that beyond this program, we need to have a way to introduce the broader population of students to allied health careers, as well as maybe advanced manufacturing careers. Maybe not to the extent that we're doing it. So in this kind of program, not to the extent that there's like work-based learning, but I would like to offer to you and to district leadership, can we figure out a way to help other students within district just be aware of the careers in allied health, advanced manufacturing area, so that they maybe can be impactful in terms of their own career planning beyond high school. And issue 2, because of, I guess, my own background in technology, if there's a way to do some type of introduction at middle school level, because for some students, they need to be introduced to the possibility so they can modify the kind of courses they would choose to take in high school, and maybe become more motivated as students because they actually want to get to a career track. Those would be my only 2 asks, and it's kind of beyond the scope of what you do, but it's just ask. And hopefully, you know, pixie dust in district or something magical will happen, and we can pull off some part of that.
Thank you for those questions. And you are singing our song from what we would love to be doing more of, is we want to make sure we're allowing for every student to have exposure and access across the board. You know, the pathways by school were identified through that district-wide task force effort, but we will certainly try to cross-pollinate as much as we can, knowing that ultimately if we could do something where students could sort of select the school they go to based on the pathway themes that might be available, that would obviously be a whole transportation discussion. But I think we're trying to spread the exposure as far and wide as we're able. And then the middle school, no doubt, we would love to start doing more of this programming at the middle and even the elementary school levels. And that's something we're talking to a lot of funders to see the long view of how important that investment is to do early and often. So we will keep working at that and continue to partner with the school district and school leadership to see where there might be grants and other opportunities that could help facilitate that.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for all the great information, the presentations, and the great discussion. So I don't see any other hands raised. Ms. Santiago, is that it for us?
That's correct. That's it.
Okay, with no other questions, everyone enjoy the rest of your evening. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good night.